guys, it's Connie. Welcome to Witchcraftin'. Um, this week I am going to show you how I make my 4-corner element protection spell. It looks pretty intimidating because there is quite a bit of herbs and quite a bit of items, but it really works. And I do this probably about every 6 months or so, um, just because it takes a while for this to kind of break down into the earth, so it kind of helps protect for quite a while. You can do it more often if you want, but I do it about twice a year, about every 6 months or so, or unless I feel like it needs to be done. I would show you all the items that are needed, but I'm going to kind of walk you through as I do them so we can save some time here. The first thing is I will take bay leaves and I will put them in water so that they can get a little more flexible and more easier to work with, because bay leaves can be really brittle when they are really dry. So, we're going to start off with doing yeast for air. Now, what I do with these is I fill each one with a 3 protective herbs that represent that element. So, say for air, I would be using an object that represents air to me, and a feather represents air to me. So that is the object that we will be putting in there. The herbs that I'm going to be putting in there are going to be sage. Sorry, I have to look at my books. It's been a while. Like I said, 6 months. Rice and lavender. Those 3 to me represent the element of air, which is the element or the direction of east. You can do any kind of herbs you want. These are just the ones that I use. You know, like always, you do your own herb. So what I would do is I'm going to take this, so that way I don't make a mess here. And I'm going to take 1 bay leaf. It's wet, so it's a little sticks to your hands. I have some sage here that I already had gotten out, because these jars are a little pain in the rump to get open sometimes. So I put my sage there, and then I'm going to put my lavender, just a little pinch. You don't need too much of it, and it's going to make a bit of a mess and it'll probably fall out, but as long as you can keep most of it in there and get it outside to bury it, because that's what I do. Is I will take this and I will go to the east of my property and I will bury it to the east of my property, and it will be representing the element of air, and it protects your home and everything and everyone inside. So I'm going to take some rice. I think I got a little bit more rice than I needed, so I will put that back real quick. And then I will be taking my feather, and I'm going to put it in there as well. I hope you guys can see this. I have a lot of lights on, but my room's kind of a dungeon. I like it dark. Oh, it's not wanting to get in there. Okay, and then I will take another bay leaf and I will stick it on top like so. And then I will take my string. Any string will do. Just make sure it's something that's going to kind of be biodegradable. It's not plastic or any of that. And then I'm going to try very carefully to tie this off without making a complete mess, and sometimes that is not always that easy and not possible. And I always tie my, when I do knots, I always say, like I think it was my seashell protection spell I showed, I always say for the protection of the maiden, uh, protection from the mother, and protection from the crone. That would tie. There we go. And then it's tied. And then you can just snip off the extra if you would like, if you don't want it all stringy. You can do it tighter than I do, but just be careful because they will, like I said, they get pretty brittle. And then you have a little sandwiched protection for the element of air for the direction of east. Now set that aside. Now the next one I'm going to do is going to be south, which is the element of fire. And for that, I am going to need this. And I'm going to need a pen and a piece of paper, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a symbol or a sigil or a rune, or you can just write down the words for protection. So I'm going to just do that real fast. Okay. And then I'm going to set this on fire. And I'm going to put that in my little fire pit cauldron thing that I have and let it burn. And now after it burns, I'm going to take that ash and I'm going to be using that. That's going to be my object for fire. So I'm going to go ahead and let that do its thing. Does that get too hot? Yeah, that got pretty hot. And then the herbs that I'm going to be using for fire would be tobacco. And I'm going to be using chili pepper. And I'm also going to be using cinnamon. Because to me, those herbs represent fire. Is that still hot? No, it's cool now. Okay. So I'm going to take some more bay leaf. And then I am going to put, see, make sure that that all burned. Okay, I'm going to stick the ash in the side here. Okay. And then I'm going to put some cinnamon in there. Now, you can put the whole stick if you have these small ones. You can put the powder. You can break it up, the bigger ones up, however you feel like you want to do. I'm just going to break off a little piece of it and just stick them in there. And then I'm going to take the chili pepper and I'm going to just stick the whole chili pepper in there. If you use powdered or cayenne pepper, the cracked pepper, that's fine too. I'm just going to take a piece of that and just stick it in there. And then, oops, I hit my mic. And then I'm going to take the tobacco and just pour that in there. Like so. Then I'm going to do the same as I did to the other one. I'm going to tie it off and I will be right back. Okay, so this is my protection one for south, which is for fire. I set that aside. Now the next one I'm going to do is going to be west for water. Okay. And what I'm going to be using for my object for water is going to be a seashell. It's a little bitty, tiny seashell. If you don't have seashell, you can use your moon water or storm water, regular water, spring water. You can also draw or even write water or seashell or whatever and put it in there, because whatever represents water to you. And the herbs that I'm going to be using for this is going to be hibiscus, rose, and passion flower, because to me those all represent the water element. And let me move these out of the way here. Just like the other ones, I'm going to put the herbs inside. Let me get a small one here. I'm going to go ahead and crush that up a little bit just so that kind of gets all in there. Then I'm going to use the hibiscus. And like I said, just a little bit. I mean, you can pack them as much as you want if you want, but you really, there's no need in it. You don't need that much. And then the passion flower. And then the seashell, I will put right in there. And then I will put this on top and I will tie it off and be right back. Okay, so here is my one for the element of water. And the very last one we're going to do is, of course, the north element of earth. Let me get that off there. Whoop, hi. Okay, so I'm going to be using dirt that is from my property. And then I'm also going to be using patchouli, because to me patchouli represents earth. And then I'm also going to be using oak, which I have some oak right here. And I'm also going to be using some cedar, because all those to me are very earthly. They smell earthly. They really, to me, represent earth. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oak in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of my dirt that I have, like so. I'm going to put a pinch of patchouli, not too much, because I'm not a huge fan of patchouli. It's very, very potent, and it kind of gives me a headache. And so I tend to use it very sparingly and very little. But, yeah. And then I will put a little bit of my cedar and put it in there, like so. And then I'm going to tie this off, and I will be right back. Okay, so here is my one for earth. Now, you can put your intent into these as you're doing them. You can blow life into them. I mean, it's totally your, prerogative and your option to do so. What I do is I will take them out in the directions that, they are appropriate for. And I will go to the east, and I will dig a little hole, and I will bury this one, which is for the east, for air. And then I will sprinkle a little bit of my black protection salt that I did. If you go to my channel, Connie Eads, on YouTube, it will show you how I make mine. If you don't have black salt, or you don't like making black salt, you can use regular sea salt. If you have eggshells, you can grind up and put a little bit of eggshells in there. Mine has eggshells, cayenne pepper, and some herbs and stuff. So I would sprinkle a little bit of this on top of it, and then I will bury it. And then I will go to the next element, which would be for fire. myself for fire. And I will bury it there, and I'd sprinkle a little bit on there, and so forth, and so forth, and so on. And like I said, I do it about every 6 months unless I feel that it's needed sooner. Make sure that the stuff that you use is biodegradable and earth friendly. Um, Again, you can put something more personal in with them to kind of connect you with them a little bit more. You can put strands of hair, a drop of blood if you use those blood sugar test strip things. You can spit in it if you want. You can put nail clippings in it if you want. You can even get down to the old, kind of not so pleasant stuff, and you can use menstrual blood if you want. Um, Urine. I mean, it goes on and on. I particularly don't do that kind of stuff unless it's something that is an emergency and needs to be done, and it needs to be super strong. But thankfully, I haven't had to do that in a long, long time. So, yeah. I hope this helps some of you. You can, if you don't have a yard, or if you don't feel comfortable going out there and doing that, if you're living like in an apartment building or something, you can get flower pots with dirt and bury them in there. You can get a big jar, or even a small jar, and put earth and dirt in it, and then bury them, and then put them in the four directions of your home. I mean, the possibilities are endless, really, and they really do work. And I was a little hesitant on showing this one because this is an old shamanic type spell that's kind of been in the family for a while. I wouldn't even really call it a spell per se. It's more of just a protection ritual. But as the years kind of went on, and I've even added to it and kind of made it more into my practice and my path as well, which is, I do the maiden, the mother, and the crone as I knot it, and you just adapt it to however you feel comfortable, whatever you feel that you want to do it. And I hope you all enjoy it, and I will talk to you guys next Friday.